Hare Krishna. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Desatarini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna to the Prabhus and Mataris. Please accept my humble obeisances. My name is Syamsundar and I am from the Kaishora group. Before I start, I would like to thank Rasaparna Prabhu and Rati Gopika Mataji for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Today, I would like to talk about the Sloka from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 15. Nādatte kasyacit pāpaṁ, caiva sukṛtaṁ, ajñānenāvṛtaṁ jñānaṁ, tena muhyanti jantavaḥ. Translation: Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of their ignorance, which covers their real knowledge. Everyone in this world is asking so many questions, like, why am I so poor? Why is he so rich? Why am I so unlucky today? Some of them even scold the Lord by saying that it is your fault that I am suffering from all these miseries. Well, if you want the answers to those questions, then listen what this sloka is all about. The Sanskrit word vibhuḥ means the Supreme Lord, who is full of unlimited knowledge, riches, strength, fame, beauty, and renunciation. He is always satisfied in himself, undisturbed by sinful or pious activities. He does not create a particular situation for any living entity, but the living entity, bewildered by ignorance, desires to put into certain conditions of life, and thereby his chain of action and reaction begins. A living entity is by superior nature full of knowledge. Nevertheless, he is prone to be influenced by the ignorance due to his limited power. The Lord is omnipotent, but the living entity is not. The Lord is vibhuḥ or omniscient, but the living entity is anu or atomic. Because he is a living soul, he has the capacity to desire by his free will. Such desire is fulfilled only by the omnipotent Lord. And so, when the living entity is bewildered in his desires, the Lord allows him to fulfill those desires, but the Lord is never responsible for the actions and reactions of the particular situation, which may be desired. Being in a bewildered condition, therefore, the embodied soul identifies himself with the circumstantial material body and become subjected to the temporary misery and happiness in life. The Lord is constant companion of the living entity as Paramatma or the Supersoul, and therefore he can understand the desires of the individual soul as one can smell the flavor of the flower by being near it. Desire is a subtle form of conditioning of the living entity. The Lord fulfills his desires as he deserves. Man proposes and God disposes. The individual is not, therefore, omnipotent in fulfilling his desires. The Lord, however, can fulfill all desires, and the Lord, being neutral to everyone, does not interfere with the desires of the many independent living entities. However, when one desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care and encourages one to desire in such a way that one can attain to him and be eternally happy. The Vedic hymn therefore declares, Esahu eva sadhu karma karayati tam yame byolokebhya unini sate Esayu eva sadhu karma karayati yamadonini sate Ajno jantur aniso yam atmana sukadukayo Ishvara pririto gajet swargam vasvabram evacha. Translation: The Lord engages the living entity in pious activities so he may be elevated, but the Lord engages him in impious activities so he may go to hell. The living entity is completely dependent in his distress or and happiness. By the will of the Supreme, he can go to heaven or hell, as the cloud is driven by the air. Therefore, the embodied soul, by his immemorable desires to avoid Krishna consciousness, causes his own bewilderment. Consequently, although he is constitutionally eternal, blissful, and cognizant, due to the littleness of his existence, he forgets his constitutional position of service to the Lord, and is thus entrapped by the nescience. And under the spell of ignorance, the living entity claims that the Lord is responsible for his conditional existence. The Vedanta Sutras also confirm this. Vaisamyanaignena sapek satvatata hi darsyati. Translation: The Lord neither hates or likes anyone, though he appears to. In conclusion, this sloka explains that Krishna is not the cause that we are suffering in this material world. It is us who are the cause for all these miseries that we are facing in our life today. Hare Krishna. Thank you.